My parents' kitchen still smells exactly like it did when I was growing up. A mix of mom's signature pot roast and disappointment. I'm Marcus Evans, 32, and I'm sitting at the same oak table where I've been told I wasn't good enough for the past 2 decades. Pass the potatoes, please, my sister Amanda says sweetly, perfectly manicured nails drumming against the tablecloth. She's always been the golden child, graduated with honors, married a doctor, gave our parents the grandchildren they wanted, everything I wasn't. So Marcus, Mom starts, her voice carrying that familiar edge. Still doing that, what do you call it, computer thing? She waves her hand dismissively, as if my entire career could be brushed away like crumbs from her precious tablecloth. It's a software development company. Mom, we just secured our biggest contract yet. Oh please, she cuts me off. You're just a dropout who got lucky. Anyone can play with computers these days. The words sting, even though I've heard variations of them countless times before. Dad jumps in, unable to resist the opportunity to compare his children. Your sister just made partner at her law firm. Now that's a real career. He beams at Amanda, who preens under the attention. You'll never be like your sister. Marcus, when are you going to grow up and get a real job? I take a slow sip of water, checking my watch. The timing needs to be perfect. Speaking of real jobs, Amanda chimes in. Did you hear about the mansion the Evans Technology CEO just bought? The one overlooking the bay? That's what happens when you finish college and work hard, little brother. She smirks, completely unaware of the irony in her words. The doorbell rings right on cue. Who could that be during Sunday dinner? Mom frowns, starting to rise. That would be my assistant, I say calmly, finally allowing myself a small smile. I asked her to bring some papers by. Your assistant? Dad scoffs. What kind of small-time computer repair shop needs an assistant? The clicking of heels on hardwood announces Sarah's arrival. She's dressed impeccably in a tailored suit, carrying a leather portfolio that probably costs more than my parents' monthly mortgage payment. Not that they'll have to worry about those payments much longer. Mr. Evans, I have those documents you requested, Sarah says professionally, though I catch the slight twinkle in her eye. She knows what's coming. Thank you, Sarah. Would you mind explaining to my family what those papers are? Sarah opens the portfolio with a flourish. Of course, sir. These are the mortgage papers for this property, recently purchased by Evans Technology Holdings. As of last week, your son's company owns this house and all surrounding properties in the development. The silence that falls over the dining room is absolute. Even Amanda's constant fidgeting stops. Ma'am, Sarah continues, addressing my mother directly. Your son owns your house. Mom's fork clatters against her plate. Dad's face has gone an interesting shade of purple. Amanda looks like she's swallowed her tongue. This is some kind of joke. Dad sputters. You can't possibly. Evans Technology Holdings, I say quietly. The company that just bought the mansion on the bay. The one Amanda was just talking about. Did none of you ever wonder why it had my name? But you're just. Mom trails off, unable to finish her familiar refrain about me being a failure. Just a dropout who got lucky. I finish for her. You know what's funny, Mom? All those years you were ashamed of me quitting college. You never once asked why. You never asked about the software I was developing in my dorm room instead of going to classes. You never asked about the investors who saw its potential. You were too busy comparing me to Amanda to notice I was building something bigger than any law degree. I stand up, straightening my jacket, the one Mom had sneered at earlier, calling it cheap looking. It's bespoke, worth more than her car. Sarah, please make sure my parents get copies of everything. They should know their new landlord's terms. I head for the door, then pause. Oh, and Mom? Next time you want to call someone a failure at Sunday dinner, you might want to check who owns the table you're sitting at first. As I walk out, I hear the rustling of papers as Sarah begins explaining the details. I don't need to stay to watch their worlds implode. I've been waiting for this moment for 15 years, and now that it's here, I find I don't need to see their faces to feel vindicated. The story of how I got here is more interesting anyway. 15 years earlier, I was indeed a college dropout, though not for the reasons my parents assumed. I had just finished my freshman year at State University, and while my grades were decent enough, my mind was elsewhere. I'd been working on a piece of security software in my spare time, something that could revolutionize how companies protected their data. My roommate James was the only one who understood. While everyone else was partying or studying, we were coding through the night, fueled by energy drinks and determination. "This could be big, Marcus," James said one night, staring at our latest test results. "Like, change the world big." He wasn't wrong, but we needed money to develop it properly, and my parents had made it clear they wouldn't support anything that didn't involve a proper education. They'd already threatened to cut off my tuition if my grades didn't improve. The decision to drop out wasn't easy, but it was necessary. James and I took our prototype to every investor we could find. We got laughed out of more offices than I can count, but we kept going. Then came the day that changed everything. We managed to get a meeting with Victoria Chen, a venture capitalist known for taking chances on unconventional startups. She listened to our pitch, asked some tough questions, and then said the words that would alter the course of my life. "I'll give you $2 million in seed funding, under one condition. You drop out and focus on this full-time." My parents' reaction when I told them I was leaving school was exactly what you'd expect. "You're throwing your life away," Mom had screamed. "Just like your Uncle Jack, another dreamer who ended up with nothing." Dad's disappointment was quieter but no less cutting. "Your sister would never do something so foolish," he said, shaking his head. "I guess we know which child inherited the sense in this family." They cut me off completely, financially and emotionally. For the next few years, I only saw them at mandatory family gatherings, where they took every opportunity to compare me to Amanda's rising success in law school. But I had something they couldn't see. While they were bragging about Amanda's internships, James and I were building something revolutionary. Our security software caught the attention of major tech companies. Contracts started rolling in. $2 million in seed funding turned into $20 million in Series A funding. By the time Amanda was celebrating passing the bar exam, I was closing deals worth more than she'd make in her entire legal career. Not that my parents noticed. They were too busy planning her wedding to such a successful young doctor. I kept quiet about my success, letting them believe what they wanted. I watched as they mortgaged their house to pay for Amanda's elaborate wedding, knowing even then that I would eventually own those mortgage papers. Some might call it petty, buying the entire development just to own my parents' house, but I prefer to think of it as investing in my past to secure my future. The next morning, my phone starts ringing early. It's Amanda, her name flashing on my screen like a warning signal. "How could you?" she demands without preamble. "Mom hasn't stopped crying since yesterday." "Interesting," I reply coolly. "She didn't cry when she told me I was worthless at every family dinner for the past 15 years. That's different. She was just worried about you." "We all were." I laugh, but there's no humor in it. "No, Amanda, you weren't worried. You were judgmental. There's a difference. We're family," she insists, her voice taking on that self-righteous tone I know so well. "Family supports each other." Really? Where was that support when I needed it? When I was working 18-hour days trying to get my company off the ground, when I couldn't afford rent but couldn't ask for help because I knew what the response would be. There's a pause on the other end of the line. When Amanda speaks again, her voice is smaller. I didn't know." "Of course you didn't. None of you ever asked. You were too busy feeling superior." "But buying their house? Marcus, that's going too far." "Is it? Think of it as an investment, just like all those classes Mom and Dad paid for to make you the perfect daughter." "What are you going to do?" There's fear in her voice now. "You wouldn't evict them, would you?" I let the question hang in the air for a moment. "That depends on them. And you." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm tired of being the family failure. Amanda, things are going to change, starting with how you all treat me." "Or what? You'll throw our parents out on the street?" "Real mature, Marcus. No more mature than mocking someone's career choices while living in a house they secretly own," I counter. "But don't worry, I'm not planning any evictions yet. Consider this a wake-up call. The balance of power has shifted. Sister dear, I suggest you all adjust accordingly." I hang up before she can respond. Seconds later, my phone buzzes with a text from Dad. "We need to talk." The meeting is set for that afternoon at my office. I make them come to me this time. No more Sunday dinners on their terms. My assistant Sarah shows them into the conference room. where floor-to-ceiling windows offer a stunning view of the city below. Mom's eyes are red-rimmed, but she's put on her best, dealing with difficult situations, face, the same one she used to wear to parent-teacher conferences when I was acting up in school. Dad looks uncomfortable in his dated suit, taking in the sleek modern decor and expensive art on the walls. Amanda insisted on coming too, though her usual confidence seems shaken. Nice office, Dad says stiffly. Must be doing well for yourself. Evans Technology is the fastest-growing software security company in the country, I reply, but you'd know that if you ever bothered to ask. Why didn't you tell us? Mom bursts out. All these years, we thought. You thought what you wanted to think. I cut her off. It was easier than admitting you might have been wrong about me. We weren't wrong to be concerned, Dad argues. Dropping out of college made me a billionaire. I finish for him. Sorry if that doesn't fit your definition of success. Amanda gasps. A billionaire? I smile without warmth. Remember that mansion you were talking about at dinner? Want a tour? The view of the bay is spectacular. Marcus, please, Mom says, her voice trembling. We're your family. Whatever issues we have, we can work them out. You don't need to hold this house over our heads. Don't I? It seems to be the only way to get your attention. That's not fair. Amanda interjects. We always paid attention to you. No, you paid attention to what you thought I should be. There's a difference. I lean forward, meeting each of their eyes in turn. Do you want to know what's really not fair? Having your own mother call you a failure in front of family every Sunday. Having your father compare you to your perfect sister at every opportunity. Being treated like a cautionary tale instead of a son. The silence that follows is heavy with 2 decades of unspoken hurts. We were wrong, Dad finally says, the words seeming to physically pain him. Is that what you want to hear? What I want is for you to mean it, I reply, and not just because I own your house. More silence. Then Mom speaks up, her voice small but steady. How did you do it? Build all this? For the first time since they arrived, I feel a glimmer of hope. It's the first genuine question she's asked about my work in 15 years. So I tell them. About the late nights coding in my dorm room. About James and our breakthrough. About Victoria Chen taking a chance on us. About the years of hard work and sacrifice that they never saw because they were too busy focusing on Amanda's achievements. As I talk, I see something shift in their expressions. The fear and anger give way to something else, understanding, maybe, or at least the beginning of it. The house is yours, I say finally. I'm not going to evict you. That was never the point. Then what was the point? Amanda asks. The point was to make you see me, really see me, not just the failure you thought I was. Mom starts to cry again, but these tears feel different. Dad looks like he's aged 10 years in the last hour. Amanda is uncharacteristically quiet. We have a lot to make up for, Dad says eventually, if you'll let us try. I consider this. Part of me wants to hold on to the hurt, to make them suffer like I did. But I think of what my success has taught me. That true power isn't about revenge, it's about choices. Sunday dinner, I say, but not at your house, at mine, and this time, everyone listens to everyone else. Deal? They nod, relief visible on their faces. As they get up to leave, Mom pauses. That software you developed, what does it actually do? I smile, a real smile this time. Come to dinner on Sunday, I'll tell you all about it. The following Sunday, I host dinner at my house, the mansion overlooking the bay that had so impressed Amanda before she knew it was mine. The table is set with the kind of casual elegance that Mom always strived for but never quite achieved. This is quite a place, Dad says as they arrive, trying to hide how impressed he is. It's home, I reply simply. Come on, I'll give you the tour before dinner. As we walk through the house, I can see them struggling to reconcile this reality with their long-held beliefs about me. Every room reveals another facet of my success. The state-of-the-art home office where I close multi-million-dollar deals. The wall of awards and recognition from the tech industry. The wine cellar stocked with bottles worth more than Dad's car. But it's in my workshop that I see the first real crack in their perception. It's where I still tinker with new ideas. Not so different from the dorm room where it all started. You still code? Amanda asks, genuinely curious. Every day, I nod. It's not just a job for me. It never was. That's what you all never understood. Mom runs her finger along a workbench, looking thoughtful. I remember when you were 10. You took apart our computer to see how it worked. Your father was so angry. I put it back together. I remind her. It worked better afterward. Yes, she says softly. Yes, it did. During dinner, the conversation is different from our usual family gatherings. Instead of criticism and comparisons, there are questions, real questions, about my work, my company, my life. So the software, Dad asks between bites. What made it different from what was already out there? I explain the technical details in terms they can understand, watching as they actually listen instead of just waiting for their turn to speak. Even Amanda seems genuinely interested. That's actually pretty impressive, she admits. I always thought you were just playing around with computers. That's because you never asked what I was actually doing, I point out, but without the bitterness that would have colored such a statement before. We should have, Mom says quietly. We should have asked a lot of things. The admission hangs in the air between us, not quite an apology, but a start. As we finish dessert, Dad clears his throat. About the house. Like I said, it's yours, I assure him. Consider it an investment in our future relationship. No, he says firmly, we'll pay rent, market rate. If we're going to fix this, we need to do it right. I study him for a moment, seeing something I've never seen before in his expression, respect. Okay, I agree, but the money goes into a trust, for Amanda's kids' college fund. I look at my sister, or whatever they want to do with their lives. Amanda's eyes fill with tears. Marcus. Because that's what family does. I continue. They support each other, even when, especially when, they choose a different path. Mom reaches across the table and takes my hand. Her grip is tight, as if she's afraid I might disappear if she lets go. We were wrong, she says, and this time, I know she means it. So wrong. Can you forgive us? I think about the years of hurt, the dismissal, the constant criticism. Then I think about the future. Sunday dinners where everyone's achievements are celebrated. Family gatherings without judgment. Nieces and nephews who might dream of following in their uncle's footsteps. I'm willing to try, I say finally, but things have to be different. They will be, Dad promises. We're listening now. And for the first time in 15 years, they really are. Epilogue. A year has passed since that first dinner at my house. Things aren't perfect. Decades of family dynamics don't change overnight, but they're better. Mom actually asks about my work now, and sometimes I catch her bragging to her friends about her innovative son in tech. Dad has started learning about computers, taking classes at the community center. He says he wants to understand my world better. Amanda and I have reached a new understanding. She even brought one of her clients, a tech startup looking for legal representation, to me for advice. We're learning to be siblings instead of rivals. The family house is still in my company's name, but my parents pay their rent on time every month. The trust for the grandkids is growing. More importantly, so is our ability to accept each other for who we are, not who we think each other should be. Last Sunday, during dinner at my parents' house, they insisted on hosting again. Now that we've reached a new normal, Mom asked me to explain my latest project to everyone. As I talked about the potential applications of artificial intelligence in cybersecurity, I noticed something that would have seemed impossible 2 years ago. They were all leaning forward, genuinely interested, not just tolerating my computer thing, but actually engaged with my passion. After dinner, as we were having coffee in the living room, Dad said something that made everything come full circle. You know, Marcus, I was wrong about one more thing. What's that? You're not like your sister, he said, then smiled. You're like yourself. And that turned out to be exactly who you needed to be. Coming from him, it was better than any business award I've ever received. As I drove home that night, I thought about how success isn't just measured in dollars or property deeds. Sometimes it's measured in changed minds and healed relationships. Sometimes the biggest achievements aren't the ones you can put on a wall, but the ones that happen around a dinner table, one Sunday at a time. I may own my parents' house, but they're finally starting to understand that they never owned my future, and that understanding is worth more than any property deed could ever be.